The eye we shared. As told by Thessa, servant of the Graeae, they say myths are stitched from half-truths and thunder, heroes carved in marble, monsters growling from shadows. But I know better. I was there. My name is Thessa. You won't find me in the songs. But I walked the path the legends feared. I stood beside a hero the gods adored. I knelt before a creature the world chose to forget. And what I saw, what I lived, was no tale for children. This is not the story of Perseus, nor of Medusa, not as you've been told. This is the story of the eye we shared. They called me Thessa of the Cliffs, though few knew my name and fewer dared to use it. I was born into the fog, in the withered lands where time itself seemed to rot. The wind carried salt and secrets. My earliest memories were the dry clicking of bones and the cold fingers of the Graeae, the Grey sisters, drawing me out from under the red rock where they found me. They were three, yet they lived as one. Enyo, cruel and sharp as bone. Pemfredo, slow and humming like a funeral drum. And Dano, the quietest, who saw everything when the eye was in her grasp. They were the daughters of Phorcys and Ceto, ancient sea gods born before Olympus had ever cracked open the sky. And in their ancient wisdom or madness they claimed me. I was not their blood, not divine, not even special, but I became their hands, their legs, their tether to a world that no longer feared them. I fetched firewood. I cooked their moss and flesh broth. I washed the eye when it grew clouded. I tended to the decaying scrolls no one else could read and dusted bones of beasts long dead. That eye, the one they passed between them, warm with prophecy and horror. It was no simple orb, but a swirling mass of shadow and starlight. When you stared into it too long, it showed things. Not futures, those were fleeting, but truths. Ugly, irreversible truths. I hated the eye, but I feared it more. I was a servant to secrets, and secrets always collect their debts. It was night when he came. No storm warned of his approach, no howl from the cliffs, only a whisper of winged sandals brushing against stone, and the sudden flare of firelight reflecting off bronze. He stepped into our hovel with the confidence of a man shielded by gods. His hair was wild, but his eyes were calm, too calm for one so young. He carried no torch, yet shadows danced behind him like servants. At his side, a sword curved, like a question mark. On his feet, Hermes' Teleria shimmered like morning dew, under moonlight. I am Perseus, son of Danae, and ward of the gods, he said, voice flat, rehearsed, like he had said it 1,000 times to 1,000 phantoms. I need what you guard. Enyo laughed so hard she lost her grip on the eye. Her screech echoed through the stone chamber, sharp enough to pierce the ears of the dead. A boy? Sent to beg for secrets? I do not beg, he replied. And when Pemfredo held out her withered hand to claim the eye, his own shot forward, quicker than any of us could react. It was in his palm. He spun it like a coin. The sisters screamed. Tell me where she sleeps, he said, where Medusa waits, or I crush this like a beetle underfoot. Dino wept. Her lips trembled with old prayers to gods who no longer listened. And I, like a fool, pitied her. So I spoke. I drew the path in the dust with a piece of bone, and in doing so, I began a journey I had no choice but to finish. One toss of an eye, and I was tangled in a tale that would not let me go. He did not trust the Graeae. He trusted me, but only as one trusts a blade, useful and sharp and easy to cast aside. You know the road, he said. You come. So I packed dried meat, filled our flasks with spring water, and wrapped Medusa's directions in linen. I took the scrolls and left the only home I had known. The land beyond the sisters' cliff was a barren stretch of nothingness. broken only by the skeletal remains of travelers who'd gone too far. It was a place where dreams died thirsty, and hope dried up before it touched the sand. But Perseus? He moved like the land bent to him. When monsters stirred at night, he laid the cap of Hades upon his head and vanished. When we reached rivers too wide, he prayed, and the waters calmed. The gods clearly favored him. Still, he did not sleep easy. Every time the firelight dimmed, he flinched. He muttered in dreams, spoke to Athena in his sleep. Sometimes, he'd wake suddenly, gripping his sword, sweat pouring from him like he'd been chased by furies. On the sixth night, we passed a field of salt pillars. Wind screamed through their hollows like a choir of the damned. Perseus was silent, gaze fixed. I dared to ask, "What do you dream of?" He stared into the flames, of being remembered, and of what it will cost. Each step westward, I saw the boy fade, and the hero harden. The sea ended. The land cracked open like an old scar. And there, across a stretch of blackened marsh, we saw it, the island of Sarpedon, where the Gorgon dwelled. No bird flew above it. No wind stirred it. Even the waves dared not lap against its shores. As we approached, the statues began. Not carved, not sculpted. Frozen. A hunter forever locked mid-sprint. A mother shielding a child who would never cry again. A soldier, spear in hand, mouth agape, eyes wide with the moment of doom. A satyr mid-leap, laughter frozen in eternal surprise. I trembled. Perseus only whispered, "Don't look." He drew the polished bronze shield, gifted by Athena herself, and began his approach backward, each step deliberate, calculated, like a dancer moving in reverse across a killing field. I stayed behind, hidden beneath the folds of a cracked altar built for some forgotten god. I pressed my ear to the stone and listened. And then I heard her. Her voice was music and mourning, a lullaby for the cursed. Who comes to die this time? No reply from Perseus, only silence. She stepped into view, but I dared not meet her eyes. Through a reflection in the water pooled at my feet, I saw her face. It was not monstrous. It was sorrowful. She wore no crown. Her hair writhed in agony, snakes hissing not in rage, but warning. She knew what was coming. She spoke, barely a whisper, another tool sent by gods who never weep. Then the flash, a sweep, a hiss, a gasp, silence. Medusa fell. The temple shook. Somewhere, the earth mourned. Even the wind held its breath that day. He held her head by the locks, careful not to let her face turn toward his own. The snakes still lived. They curled and spat at the air like sentinels without a queen. "We must go," he said, but I remained frozen. "You don't understand," I whispered. She was not evil. He didn't look at me. She was dangerous. "So are you." He flinched at that. I gathered the cloth and wrapped the head gently, as though tucking a child to rest. For a moment, I thought I heard Medusa sigh. It is a terrible thing to see a curse lifted by steel. We returned to the Graeae. He threw the eye into the dirt. Uncaring, "I have what I came for. Keep your curses." They wailed, all three. Their cries cracked the sky like lightning. Ennio tried to claw his face. Pamphredo begged for mercy. Dano turned to me. "You helped him." "I did. You are no daughter of ours." They cast me out, but it didn't matter. I had already seen the cost. Once you hold the eye, you are never blind again. Years passed. Songs were sung. Statues were raised. Perseus the Slayer. Perseus the hero. He rescued Andromeda. He sired kings. His name echoed through time. But not a soul sang of the woman turned into a beast for being broken. Not a soul mourned the sisters left blind, or the servant who knew the whole truth. Only I remember of the boy who wielded divine tools without knowing the weight of them, of the monster who mourned as she fought, of the eye that saw all but was never meant to be torn from its place. I live in the shadows now, but I still tell the story, because I didn't just hear the myth, I lived it. And now, so have you.